Oh, wait.
Gingerbread man.
One on the corner. Moving towards my motion, silly. There's ablation. Heard a dart. One here. Running by.
Ah, I doubled down.
Oh.
Two. I doubled down two.
Make it out there.
I can't see. He revived.
Double down again.
I ain't got no dart.
I died.
Wolf couldn't help himself. He had to finish him off.
How's it going, guys? It's Silly Me, and in this video I'm going to share a few tips when using proximity mines. Proximities are a bit tricky, and not in the sense of using them, but rather you can't use them as a primary source for eliminations. At least not like the other lethals. Impacts, frags, sticky, C4s, you pick and choose the moment you feel best to deploy those lethals. Proxies, on the other hand, you are gambling on which direction the opponent team will hit you from. And the best part about online gaming, at least for me, is that every match will always be unique. That includes the route and timing your opponent commits to at that specific time. Hell, sometimes your plan will even get foiled by a couple of contractors running ghosts. But the most tedious part when using proxies is that there is no right way when using them. It is based off your game style. So that's what you really need to figure out. What is your play style? I can make a video of every position I have used or still use on every map, but you won't get as many proxy kills as I do because you will not utilize them to their full potential the way I can. So this video is not going to show you exact pinpoints of traps I lay down, but rather to set traps using mind games. My games. Mind games. So the first thing I want to start off with is the most basic, fresh off the training tutorial FNG thing you can do, is place your proxies in front of the laptop, in plain view, for all to see. Even if you think it's well hidden under that folded table or chair because it's so original and unique, it is probably the most rookie thing you can do. You might get a kill or two for your first 3 levels of rank. Most players 10 or under still manage to get stooped by them, but after that, majority of the people would just throw grenades to eliminate most traps. Now, don't get me wrong, as I had mentioned earlier, finding your playstyle, it's all about trial and error. You find what works for you and what doesn't. I have seen plenty of seasoned veterans slowed down and killed by these last-minute defenses. Pressure does build up when you're pressed for time, but you really need to get creative when you're setting up traps. Luckily for you, that's what this video is all about. Another waste of a perfectly good mine is placing them on the floor or at the foot of a closed door. I'm not sure if it's poor programming or just firewall logic, but most of these traps will set off from behind the door, causing it to explode with no effect to the other team because they are covered behind the closed door. So try to avoid this tactic if you can. The next piece of advice I'm going to share are words best said by the one and only Jesse Pinkman.
Okay, this is my house. I don't shit where I eat.
And by that I mean, do not place your proxies in your area of defense. One impact and you and any teammates within range will be blown sky high. You may think friendly fire will save you, but it won't. Mines set off by any explosions or shot off from anyone not on your team will eliminate all within the danger zone. So this brings us to the first part of setting up your defenses, and that's getting to know your area. Figure out how many entrances there are. If you can narrow it down to 3 or less, it's a good start. Shoot House is a great example of reducing those entrances. With its narrow hallways and various doors, it's a fun house of death. But if you really explore the map layout, you'll come to realize you can reduce the entrances down to 2 doors. Please note, you can always venture off a bit further just to create a chokehold/kill box. Now, in case you're not familiar with those terms, it's basically the points in which prevention will occur. In this case, you are setting up to prevent the enemy team from advancing, or stall them for time at the very least. The more of the map you have control of, the better you will be. You need to cover as many openings as you can, but don't overdo it. Once you get comfortable with your tactic, you can later on expand your area. So back to Shoot House. Shoot House can be separated into 2 halves, red side and blue side. But regardless of which side you spawn in, they both have a 2-way entrance at the end of their respective side. Those who know me know I never defend anywhere near the laptop. I push further in, at the base of the catwalk. But for this demonstration, I will create from scratch a defense catered to my skill set. And at the attempt, I hope to explain the best that I can my mindset when setting up defenses. So I had spawned on the blue side, and once I located the two entrances, I had my first question. Which side do I want to defend? Keep in mind that I'm already familiar with the map layouts, but you will need to circle the map a few times to have a decent understanding of the map. The left side is as good as any side to defend, but I went with the right side. From this position, I have a very nice view of both doors and a good position to open fire on all that dare to breach through. However, the most devastating thing that could happen is dying before I could even shoot one round. And Shoot House has a 100% chance of rain. A bombardment of grenades, that is. I need a plan B, my escape route. Or even better, my real position of defense. In my first video I had said, with the right callouts I can wipe out a whole team. The trick is to lure them where you want them. I had mentioned earlier that mine placement is trial and error. Well, I have had months and months of error. But with every failure, information was obtained. I can now just look at a spot and know on instinct where to place a proxy with a high chance of an elimination. So where do we start? And the answer is in the eyes of the enemy. Again, proximities are a gamble. You are taking the chance on which route they will go. So I need to walk in each and every possible flank. And it all starts with opening a door. Look at the surroundings, the furniture, the wall layouts, light fixtures. I want the room to look exactly like I did when I first opened that door. Then I hunt for that perfect spot, the sweet spot. This is the moment your opponents realize they have to act fast or they will die. On instinct, most players will try to outrun the danger. There are a few who will back off and avoid the explosion altogether, but 8 out of 10 times you will snag a runner, or as I like to call them, the heroes. These are the players who actively look for trouble. They want action. They want you dead. They want to prove that they are better than you. But I like to fight back and prove that even giants fall. A raged bull may attack with a purpose, but they do it foolishly. My passion is baiting players into my fun zone, tricking them to believing that they have me cornered and outmatched.
I'm a damsel. I'm in distress. I can handle this. Have a nice day.
That is why I have a fallback spot, my plan B. I never start at my fortress. If I am positioned before my trap, I engage and slowly retreat. I have to bait them as much as I can. But most importantly, I need to have them waste their grenades. And if I die prematurely, that's okay. Remember, my traps are best effective when they have their guard dropped. Usually when they have a partner is when they get brave. They think they have the numbers. However, if I'm positioned behind my trap, I remain hidden. A lot of people like to wait at an entrance, at the ready for all that dare to pass by or peek. But I like to lure them in as close as I can before I strike. Once that proxy is activated, that is when I pop out and force them to run straight into my bullets, using their own momentum against them. Proxies can be activated when an enemy passes through, but it has to be done within range. In time, you too will have an idea just how far is too far. Too close, and the countdown begins, giving the enemy time to step back. Too far, and it may not trigger until after the enemy has passed out of range. In this clip, the laptop is in the middle of my defensive corner. I had ran out of time when planning my defenses that I had to re-enter a few more times. For the sake of this video, I'm going to continue by ignoring my gut instinct. Like I had said, I do not defend near the laptop. Being in a large open warehouse, a grenade will more than likely wipe out most, if not all, my defenses. Since the laptop was in this room, I decided to go ahead and stack up the firepower. Okaro can take on a single blast, but stacking up your proximities or any lethals will not only increase the blast radius, but it will also double up on the explosive damage, taking out even the dreaded heavy impact. From a quick glance, it appears to be a normal room, and you may think you can spot it if it were you, but believe me, once the bullets start flying, everything is fast-paced. Unless you are actively searching for mines, which I can tell you by experience it is not always the case, you will start running for your life. Some people manage to avoid the danger, but the fact that the proxies were still triggered to begin with means I did a good job at surprising them. The only thing that needs improvement is my mine placement. Nothing a little adjustment can't fix the next time I get the same spot. The third time I had re-entered Shoot House, I had spawned on the red side. And since on blue side I had placed my defenses near the laptop, I decided to place them away from the laptop, into no man's land. That is the area between the two fronts, which requires me to abandon the objective, or in this case, the original primary chokehold. When doing so, you have to be quick. The enemy is already rushing to you, and the extra 10 seconds it takes for you to reach the new secondary chokehold will lower the time you have to lay down traps and position yourself for combat. Just like last time, I started at the entrance of my new defense point. Everything must look normal from the start. The light fixture was a perfect start. It is not my primary source for elimination, it is the decoy that would scare our target running into our new traps. Most people tend to run away from the timer. So now, all we need to do is find the new sweet spot. Then comes the secondary proxy for that stacked up firepower. It might seem like a waste using all these proxies in one room, but if I can increase my chances for one elimination, then I did my part. I then pull back to the entrance and test our new trap. When you've been around proxies a lot, that includes being a victim of these deadly discs, their unmistakable timer gets engraved in your memory, that I can easily tell at what point the explosion will happen. But like I said, trying to predict the enemy's route is hard, so you will need to figure out how to minimize their entrances. If the enemy decides to enter from a different side, they will get a new angle of your traps, causing them to be more open. Again, you need to minimize their options. In this case, I decided to place a motion to prevent them from using that door. There will be a few who take chances, but on an average, the opponents will just avoid motions and find a different entry. So back to my defensive corner on blue side. As I had mentioned in the beginning of this video, you would not use my traps to their full potential, and that's because you don't know where my mindset was when I first started with my defensive building. And I always think of one thing: worst case scenario. And that would be last man standing. But let's not stop there. Remember how I said with the right callouts? Well, let's add on no communication from your teammates. How can we counter that? Well, first off, stay calm. Firewall has its moments that even seasoned veterans can get their heart going during a good firefight. But clear your mind and keep those ears open for both callouts and your enemy movement. I said left side is as good as any side to defend, but there is another reason I chose the right side. It has a longer distance between me and the enemy. If I were to defend the left, upon retreat I would have my back exposed. Again, this is all playstyle. This is catered to my skill set. Shotguns, SMG, C4s, skills like Scout, they all have their advantages at a close range defense. And if I can hold them back on the moment they decide to push, then that forces them to run in through the left side of the map. My fun zone. The enemy can be anywhere at any moment of time. That's why all I have to do is hold my spot. I had placed proxies at the entrance of both center and right doors, but the problem is that far left door. I can leave it closed and wait for them to open it. I could even take advantage of the door hole. But if they had grenades, I wouldn't see it coming till it was too late. So I found it was best to leave the door wide open. Bonus tip, I left it open towards me. That way they couldn't close it, which gives them time to recover, plan ahead, maybe even have the element of surprise. Plus, if I spot the enemy early on, I have time to rethink my strategy. But leaving the door open now creates a fourth opening for me to get hit from. Yes, there are 3 doors, but the far left entrance has a fork in the road, giving them an opening for a strong push. Luckily for me, I use ambush, which allows me to have an extra proximity. Once again, I will use my hidden sweet spot tactic. That way, if they did try to rush in on me, I will once again have the advantage of serving a nice sandwich of bullets in the front and explosives on their back. Now, all I have to do is wait. This is the EWS tactic, the early warning system. Remember, proxies are not your primary source for eliminations. Never expect a single proxy to get you that kill. You have to do the work yourself. Use them to your advantage. Listen for that pre-detonation signal. Then you will know which area to strike first. And if positioned just right, they will be forced to run right in. And if the proxy manages to get you that kill, even better. But keep in mind that proxies are lethals. You still have your tactical equipment. All of these tips can be used or doubled up with concussion mines and motion sensors. This video is about outsmarting your enemy with your equipment. Get creative, think outside that box. I have linked mines and shot them myself for a cheap kill. I just listened for that pre-detonation signal or footsteps and lit up the entire room like C4. So that's all I have for you guys. Sorry if it felt kind of rushed towards the end of the video, but I was hoping to keep this under 10 minutes. And I felt like there was so much more I needed to say, but I honestly didn't care for making a second proxy video. There is just too much prep work and hours of searching for good footage. Like I had said, you are gambling on where the enemy is going to hit you from, and even less chance that that plan will work out accordingly. As always, see you out there, guys.
I hear footsteps near me.
I got one creeping in my side.
Hostile down.
Got
Two here.
I think you're forgetting something.